Okay. Again, thank you so much for taking the time today and joining us for the presentation for college success. I'm very excited to share this with you. I've been working very hard, and I think this is going to be a great resource for the students in New Hampshire. So, my name is Kristen, and I am from Granite Advance, and we are a nonprofit organization based right here in New Hampshire. We have a physical office in Concord where we can meet with students and families Monday through Friday. We can also meet with students via Zoom as well, if that works for them. A big part of our mission and goals are we are helping students find their direction. If it's high school, if it's college, if it's the trades, if it's a career, we want to set up the students and families for success so that they're confident in their next journey post high school. Another big part of our mission and culture is we want to help them fund their future. That could be through scholarships, a private loan, or even giving them the background information they may need to go to a different lender, whatever is best for the families. So a big part of our finding their direction, we offer an array of different options where we can do college and career counseling in person or via Zoom. We can do presentations in the school geared for students. We can do presentations in the schools, which include families. Presentations can include anything from, FAFSA 101, applying to college 101, making your school list, college essay prep, college success, and anything in between. We do offer one-on-one appointments for families and students where we can cover anything in terms of next steps from high school to be prepared for your next journey. We have a great partnership with a program called U Science for those students who may not be quite sure what they exactly want. This is a really unique program where it goes through some brain games and puzzles to figure out your aptitude strengths. And based on those aptitude strengths, we can then help students and families filter to their particular career of interest or potentially even college and different programs and how to get there. Um, we also host and go to many different events around the state, excuse me. Our biggest event that we host is our Destination College event geared towards our junior class, where we do a bunch of different workshops and webinars throughout the day, as well as a college fair to kind of help that process get started for the next step. We also offers a bunch of professional connections in terms of our staff and our network. Within our Funding Our Future, we can help students with the FAFSA, which can seem a bit daunting as it kind of goes through your finances. We offer a fantastic scholarship for our students. We're aiming to give $750,000 away to the students of New Hampshire this year, which is amazing. We offer grants as well. We offer some in-loan counseling as well as refinance loan products. We're going to jump right into it. So, now that you've been accepted to college, kind of what's next? You've done the hard work for the last 4 years. What's happening now? So, we're going to go through some tips and tricks and some great ways to kind of be successful. So you're probably thinking, I'm not quite sure which path is the best one for me. Is it online where everything is virtual? You may not have a set login time where you just kind of log in to submit your work by a certain deadline? Or is it on campus where you have a roommate? You're actually physically going to class, walking through a quad perhaps, interacting with different students and people of all different backgrounds. Is it more of an in person setting for you? Do you thrive in an environment very similar to what you had in high school, perhaps? Or are you looking for something kind of in the middle where you're going to commute to the campus, but you're still having the autonomy at home to kind of do your work without any other distractions? So, we want to start to talk about what does success look like after high school. So, there can be a couple of different ways success means to you. It can come in social success, meeting new friends, getting involved in Greek life, perhaps, trying something new, um, following your passion, kind of opening the door to different things. Academic success can be reflected in your GPA, your class standing, and then eventually graduating in 4 years. If you're going to a bachelor's, if you're going to a 2 year school, it will be a 2 year graduation. getting the most out of your time and money. Personal success could be something, trying something new, applying to college, taking that leap and going to college, forming those new connections and creating some new habits. So, we're going to dive right into social success. Social success is very important. As you can see here, it can lead to emotional support, personal growth, networking, and academic success. College can seem a little bit overwhelming as you're no longer kind of under your safety net umbrella of mom and dad or your family. You're kind of on your own. Now it's up to you to get to class on time, making sure you're doing your homework, making sure you're hitting your deadlines. Maybe you have to do laundry for the first time on your own, or maybe you have to kind of balance a schedule where you have sports, clubs, academics. Maybe you're working as well. So that's kind of a lot of balance and it can be a bit much. So this is a very new environment. There can be academic pressure in terms of, maintaining a certain GPA. This is a big life change, but it's a great life change. It's super positive. You want to start to create that social circle. That's going to give you that level of support. It could be your roommate, it could be peers from high school that are kind of going through the same process. Networking, you want to kind of meet people in college. These could be potential people you're going to work with later down the road, or even potential people that could help you open doors to a new career. Personal growth is a great aspect in terms of college, where you're now no longer under the umbrella of your family and caregiver. You're now creating your own umbrella. What are the things that you want to succeed in? What are some of the things that you want to grow as a person? You want to start to kind of be exposed to different cultures, different ideas, different perspectives. Every social interaction you're having now is creating this personal growth area, something you may not have had when you were in high school. Academic success can be, if you're reaching out into study groups, you're having that peer motivation, you're having that peer group of support and cheerleader helping you kind of get through the hard stuff. But these are also going to be the people you're going to potentially hang out with after school or maybe at meal times. So there's a couple different ways you can be socially successful. You want to spend some time on campus. There's lots of great, amazing things that can be happening at any given time. Clubs, sports, theater, any interest group, community, Greek life if you have it. The list is pretty much endless. Best way to kind of do that is to get involved. Start by following your current passion. What are you passionate about in high school? Maybe follow that passion. Or maybe there's something that you were interested in high school that maybe you want to check out now, and that's going to open up some doors for you. This is your time to potentially rebrand yourself from the person that you were in high school. Now you're independent on your own. This is a great time to try new things, meeting new people. College is full of people of a ton of different backgrounds. Not everyone's coming from a similar high school situation that you're coming from. Maybe they're coming from a homeschool environment. Maybe they're coming from a giant high school. Whatever the case may be, interacting with new people is going to create your social network. It's also going to help you kind of meet some friends and break those barriers. Maybe they're struggling in a certain class and you kind of want to help them, or maybe you can help with any of your past experiences. Connecting with your professors is a great way for academic success. They're going to be in this journey with you in the day to day. They're also going to be the ones reading your papers, reading your assignments, helping you study for tests. Having that one-on-one with your professor is a really great way to kind of get over the speed bump of potential confusion with the subject matter. Utilize the buddy system if you have it at your school. Definitely inquire. Maybe you're assigned like a junior or an upperclassman where they kind of show you the ropes a little bit. So it's not as daunting and you're able to kind of break through that barrier where you're going to feel successful and confident. And we're going to jump right into kind of academic success. What does this look like? Like I mentioned previous, this is reflected in your GPA, your grades, class standing, and eventually your graduation. So academic success is very important in terms of, potential scholarships and financial aid. Based on your GPA, you could receive some additional scholarships from the school, which could help defray the cost of school. You could potentially learn some new skills where you're going to explore some different careers. You could take a class that you're really interested in that might not have been on your radar. and you could jump right into this class, and maybe this is a future career for you. You are going to learn the soft skills, potential writing, you're going to have a clear indication of how to write a paper, how to have that communication with an instructor, how to draft up an email in a professional manner. Your academic success is also reflected in your professional reputation. It's showing that you can balance a couple of different things while being successful in school. Balancing a couple of different things can be your schoolwork, your time management. Maybe you're working, maybe you're involved in a bunch of different clubs, maybe you're an athlete. Balancing that time is then going to be reflected later once you graduate in the real world, where you're able to balance all the real world things that are coming at you: family, work, outside things, etc. Getting a good grade, getting good grades and a GPA can potentially lead to an internship, which then creates more career opportunities for you. If it's something you're not exactly going to pursue, this will definitely open the doors for maybe other options. At least you'll have the experience. A great talking point in an interview: hey, I had this internship in psychology, for example, and I learned a lot of great things. Whatever you're going to take from that situation can only help and benefit you. There are definitely lots of different ways to be academically successful. Connecting with your academic or advisor or a trusted person on campus. This is going to be your go to person. They're going to be there to help communicate and advocate for you, but also with you. Your advisor or your trusted person on campus is your go to cheerleader. They're there in your corner supporting you no matter what. They're going to be able to help you kind of mitigate scheduling classes. Maybe you have an issue with your roommate, or maybe you have an issue with housing. Maybe there's an issue with an instructor. Maybe there's just not a connection. They're going to help you kind of go over that speed bump and work with you. They're also a great person to help kind of advise in the next steps. Maybe you're taking on too much academically, or maybe you have too many clubs that you're involved with, and they'll help kind of with time management, kind of giving you a successful path. Again, communicating with your instructors and professors. This is going to be the best resource for you to be successful in that subject matter. Some instructors will often give you extra credit if you seek out extra support from them or seek their office hours. So you just want to be aware of kind of what is happening. No instructor is ever going to judge you for asking for help. That is why they're there. They want to give you the tools so you're successful in that subject matter. Utilizing your school resources is huge. There's so many different resources available to you. Anything from tutoring, writing support, maybe career support. Maybe you're looking to, time management. Or maybe you're just kind of trying everything new for the first time and you're feeling a little overwhelmed. This is a great way to kind of ground yourself and figure out your next path. I've mentioned time management a couple times. This is going to be so crucial in college, like I said, because you're no longer under the umbrella of mom, dad, your caregiver, and your support system at high school. You have to create a new support system. You're in a new environment. Best thing to do with that is to stay organized. Whatever process that you have to stay organized, work with that, fine tune that, really make it your own. You want to develop a routine. What time are you going to get up for class? Are you going to eat before class? Are you going to eat after class? You want to start practicing some positive study skills. Where is the best environment that you learn and you can study? Is it in your dorm room? Is it in the library? Is it in a quiet space where maybe an academic resource center, perhaps? You want to know kind of where to go to mitigate your stress level. College comes with a whole level of stress. Are you going to a peer group within your dorm? Are you going to your resident advisor? Are you going to your academic advisor? Are you going to the health and wellness center? Are you going to go to the gym? Maybe that helps you work out things. Um, you just want to be aware of that you're investing your time and your money into your education. If you were to skip class, for example, you're going to fall drastically behind. Not to mention the cost of the class could potentially be impacted. For example, a class currently at Southern New Hampshire University is about $960. If you were to miss one or two or three or even more classes, you're going to fall drastically behind, and you might as well take that money and kind of throw it out the window. You want to invest into your future because this is your journey. You want to create a great schedule and routine for yourself. Whatever your class schedule is, you want to factor in mealtime breaks. Maybe you need to take a walk around campus, or maybe you need to go to the gym in between. You want to make sure you're creating a schedule that reflects you and that you can be successful in. You want to be prepared. You want to go to class, show up with your laptop if you have one, a notebook if you need it. You want to take notes. You want to review your notes, participate in the class. Instructors love when students participate because it gets a new perspective. Maybe there's something that you know about that you can share with the class that will then help your peers. You want to practice self care. Obviously, this is a new environment, which brings a whole level of different stressors that could potentially happen. You want to start creating that balance with school and clubs and sports and maybe even your job. There's some great tools online for time management. ClickUp.com, all one word, is a great free resource to help you kind of mitigate some time management roadblocks that you may incur. You want to start to set up yourself with some positive study skills, as I mentioned before. How are you best retaining information? Are you a note taker? Do you tend to highlight? Do you need note cards to kind of utilize as a flashcard situation when you're studying? Are you more of like record yourself in a camera and listen to it back? Or are you more of a read it once and now you've memorized it? Whatever methods work best for you, you want to kind of really hone in on those study skills. You want to prioritize, set times during the day, during the weekend that you are dedicating time for study. If you have a roommate that maybe you have a similar schedule, maybe you put on your whiteboard on your door, study time from 3 to 5. That way people in your dorm kind of know, hey, they're doing homework. We're going to leave them alone. Whatever works best for you, maybe it's going to a study group with your peers within that class. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, nor is there nothing wrong with going to a study group because you may be in the same boat as someone else who might be a little bit confused, and kind of being all together creates now your social network, but it also creates that level of support for yourself. Asking for help is the best way to be successful. No one is going to judge you in college if you're asking for help, including your peers, instructors, advisor. There's a ton of resources available on a college campus as well as online if that is your path in terms of help tutoring, writing centers. Sometimes you'll even be able to submit your assignment ahead of time to the writing center where they'll check the rubric and making sure that you're hitting the prompt points. So that way you're getting the full credit that you potentially could. You obviously want to give yourself breaks. You don't want to wear out your brain or your body. You want to be practicing with 100%. And you definitely want to make sure you get enough rest. College can be exciting and new, and people are staying up and doing different things and watching different shows, and you want to make sure that you're giving yourself rest as well. Now, with all the success sometimes comes, maybe you're not being super successful, and that's okay. If you're struggling academically, where can you go for support on your campus? Your academic advisor or your trusted person on campus is going to be your first main go to. They're going to be able to help you get to those different departments that you may need. Office of Accessibility. Maybe in high school you had a 504 or an IEP and you just need a little extra support so that way you're successful. You'll need to go to this office, maybe even virtual, and you'll kind of need to advocate for yourself in terms of what you need. Maybe you need an extra day on your assignments, or maybe you need a different method. Maybe you need the notes handed to you if it's a lecture. Whatever it may be, you definitely need to advocate on your behalf to the accessibility office and then with your instructor so that way they can set you up for support as well. Take advantage of your professor's office hours. This is the best way to get that one on one interaction with your instructor, where maybe you can ask those questions you were not quite sure of asking in front of your peers. But maybe it's a question that you think might be silly, but your instructor's like, hey, this is going to open up another conversation for another assignment down the road. The library is a great resource, not just for the books and resources it has, but also it has small areas where you can study. You can study in by yourself or in a small group, but it often is quiet where you can kind of focus and get your stuff going. Tutoring is a great great tool for success. This could often be a peer who's already taken the class and has been hand chosen by an instructor, or it could be an adult chosen by the school and has a expertise in a certain level. You do want to take in consideration tutoring may be limited depending on the subject matter and depending on the size of your school. So if it's something that you need to make an appointment ahead of time, you do want to make sure you're planning that with your schedule. The Writing Center is a great resource. Some schools will offer it in person and some may offer it even online, where, as I mentioned, you can submit your paper to them and they're going to review it, making sure your spelling is correct, making sure your grammar is correct, making sure every prompt within the rubric is addressed. So that way, once you submit to your instructor, you're going to get the best grade you can. So we've talked about some great academic resources. We're going to now kind of dive into some campus resources. Like I mentioned, your campus is going to be an onslaught of resources. Academic, social, personal, you name it, it's going to be there for you. Maybe you're struggling a little bit and you need to talk to a counselor. Some schools will offer anonymous counseling on the phone, via Zoom, or in person or via Zoom, whatever your comfort level is. Most campuses will offer this free of charge, which is fantastic. There's definitely learning communities online and on campus in terms of where do you specifically need support? Are you struggling making friends? This is a great area to kind of jump in and meet some new people. Maybe you're struggling with your roommate and you don't quite know where to go. Your resident advisor and or your resident director would be a great starting point. They can kind of help you mitigate any housing issues, maybe help you get to that housing department. Maybe you need to change your roommate. Maybe you need to change your dorm. It can definitely happen, but you need to ask for that help. Your peer support. This is going to be a great resource. You're not alone in this journey. You're not alone in leaving high school and leaving your comfort zone. There's other kids in your situation. You just need to kind of know where to go. Best person to start with would possibly your roommate or even your dorm mates. Maybe there's somebody you've passed in the hall that is kind of connecting with you, or you smile at a couple times, and that's your kind of your way in. Maybe you're unsure of where to go if you do get sick, or if you're not feeling the greatest. You want to know where your campus health and wellness center is. Typically, they are in the center of the campus, but that's not a typical situation. So you want to make sure you know where that is. Maybe you're struggling with some basic needs, and that's okay. Every campus has an option for students, a food pantry option. Some even have a resource where you can potentially thrift some clothes if needed. So you'll want to know where that is. How do you access it? Is there certain hours that you have to go into? Do you need to set up an appointment ahead of time? These are things you kind of want to know before jumping into that. Paired with some other resources to help give you some level of confidence and success, you want to reach out to your family or your support network that you had in high school. They know you the best. They're going to be able to be a great listener for you and kind of help guide you to the next step. Maybe you're really struggling with some mental health issues. The National Suicide Hotline is 988. That is a great resource if you need it. Another great resource is if you're struggling with some basic needs, is 211.org. Your current doctor or a trusted family member or a trusted adult is a great resource to help you, especially if you need medications, you're going to want to go to your doctor. Reaching out to your friends from high school. They're in the same boat as you, very new experiences, new environment, new classes, new friend group, new schedules. Kind of recalling with your friends is a great way to say, hey, I might be struggling a little bit. This might not be the best path for me. How are you dealing with this? Here at Granite Advance, we're here to help you as well. We can help kind of guide you to different campus resources, maybe even reach out within our network to help you. And we can certainly help kind of mitigate. Maybe you're struggling with some financial stuff. We can kind of help get you the right tools for that as well. Now you're kind of preparing for campus, which is super exciting. So we've broken it down in terms of a timeline throughout the summer, excuse me. Come May of your senior year, you want to make sure you've paid your fall semester deposit. Usually this is due May 1st, but you definitely want to check specifically with your college for that deadline. You want to make sure you have set up your student portal and you remember your password and start getting in the habit of checking your email pretty regularly. I would say 2, 3, 4 times a week, honestly, because that's where all your academic and financial information is going to go. You want to finish your senior year strong. You don't want to slack off and stop doing your work because just as quick as an offer came, they can potentially take it if your grades drop off. So you want to make sure you finish strong and that you're going to start on a really great foot. In June and July, there's usually orientations that happen where you can go kind of get a tour of the school, kind of meet some new classmates coming in. You want to make sure that you register ahead of time if needed, and you know the dates and what to bring for that. If there's any class assessments that you need to take, maybe you took some AP courses or advanced placement or um, expedited level in high school and you don't want to take a basic psychology class. Maybe you feel that your skill set is for the next level. So you want to reach out to the school and take any class assessments that you may need and make sure you're adhering to those deadlines. You want to complete any health services forms that you may need for the Health and Wellness Center. Any copies of physicals, any copies of immunizations you've had. You want to make sure you have that and you have that sent to your school. You want to make sure you're completing all your legal documents, especially the FERPA. For students, once you turn 18, mom, dad, or your caregiver can no longer reach out and inquire about you. Completing the FERPA gives your trusted people access to your account so that they can set you up for success and they know kind of what's going on. You want to connect with your roommate. You guys want to have a conversation. What are you bringing to the dorm? What should we have a theme? You want to make sure you're having that conversation so you're not duplicating what you're bringing. There's not much space in a college dorm, so you want to make sure you're packing appropriately and responsibly. Connecting with your roommate, start your shopping list. What kind of things are you going to need for school? Are you bringing your old bedding from your bed? Or are you bringing new stuff? You want to kind of start that list and stay organized with your parents and or caregiver. In August, you want to make sure your final transcripts have been received so they have your final grades. You want to start to purchase your books and materials if you're allowed to ahead of time. Some schools will allow freshmen to access campus before school starts, where you kind of have like a day to yourself. You can kind of figure out your schedule, get your books in order, kind of go through the motions. Maybe you want to look for a job if you want to work on campus or off campus. How far is this job from campus? How are you going to get there? You want to start to create yourself a plan. You want to make sure that all your financial pieces for the fall are all tied up. If you neglect to pay your bill, they will not let you go to class. So that's something you want to make sure you're staying on top of. If you're bringing a car, you want to inquire about a parking permit. How much does it cost? Do you need one? You want to make sure you're signing up for any campus alerts via text and via your school portal. In the event of a storm or an event of anything else happening, you want to make sure you're in the know. Excuse me. So now we've kind of talked about your list for the summer. Now we're going to jump right into talking about the responsibilities for a student. So you want to know is specifically what size your dorm room is, if it's listed. This is a great way to kind of check out the residential life page on your specific college site. What's in your dorm? Do you have a closet? Is there a dresser provided? Do you have a sink? How far is the bathroom from your room? You want to start to know these things. Most college dorm beds are XL twins. So something to keep in mind when you're shopping for your bedding, a typical twin is not going to fit a college dorm. Maybe you want a mattress cover so it's a little bit more comfortable. That could be something you experience once you go to orientation and you kind of maybe have a sleepaway at college. You're going to figure out, oh, yeah, I want a mattress cover. What kind of environment is the dorm in? Are you going to a warmer climate where you might need a dehumidifier? Or an air purifier perhaps. Don't forget your extension cords. There's usually 3 or 4 plugs in the entire room for you and your roommate. So you want to make sure you have enough outlets for all of your things. Most dorms are built out of cement, so you typically can't hammer into a cement wall. So you want to make sure you have command hooks or strips, something that's not going to pull paint off, where you're going to have to then pay a fine for dorm damage. Again, connecting with your roommate. You want to know what you're bringing, what they're bringing. You don't want to bring your entire room and or house from high school because there's not a lot of space. You want to start to think about maybe if you're relatively close to home, leaving some winter stuff at home and then maybe going home for a weekend in November to get it, or having parents come and bring it to you. Maybe you want to bring something from your room or your home to kind of help you feel less homesick. Maybe it's a trinket from your room or a trophy, or maybe there's a favorite syrup or a spice or something from your home that kind of reminds you of your safety net that you're kind of leaving and expanding upon yourself. You want to look into, are you allowed to have a car? Where is parking? How far is parking? Is there a fee? Do you have to pay each semester for your car, or is it a one shot for the year? You also want to know if there is no parking for your car and you're not allowed to bring it freshman year, for example. How close is public transportation? Is this something that is on a regular schedule, or do you have to schedule this ahead of time? College campuses can be large and there's a lot of different people. You want to start to think about what makes you feel most comfortable kind of walking around. Some people feel really comfortable with a personal protection device, whatever they're comfortable with. You just want to make sure that you're checking with your school's website and policies to know specifically what you can bring as a personal protection device. On the parent side, you want to know, when is move-in day? Do you have a set time for your move-in day? Where's parking? Most of the time when you are moving in your students, parking is nowhere near the dorm. So you want to know, are you able to drop off things, go park and come back? Are there student athletes potentially helping you unload? You want to kind of know all the logistics of that before you get to the campus. You want to make sure you're setting up a bank account for your student, or something that they're comfortable with. If you're comfortable with a debit card, you want to set something up with a debit card. If you're comfortable in perhaps just a cash fluency, you want to make sure that they have that they have those resources. You want to start creating your own support network. Your little birds are now flying the nest. Join the social media groups on the college page, maybe even a Facebook group in your community. You want to start to kind of be in the know of campus events. So if your student is calling saying, hey, this is going on, you can be like, oh, yeah, I saw that on Facebook. Talk to me about it. You want to kind of start to set yourself up for success as well. Another thing for parents is, once your student turns 18, they are legally an adult. Colleges will not release information without that student's permission. You won't be able to make any legal, financial, or health decisions for your student. It's going to be quite a bit of a hurdle if something does happen. There's lots of different laws that protect hiding of the information and hiding their identity once they are 18. You want to start to prepare your legal documents. Power of attorney for health is a great one. This gives you the authority to make any medical decisions if potentially your adult student, 18 and older, has an accident, where you're kind of in the know of what's going on. You can kind of be there if needed, or make a decision if they're unable to. You want to create a power of attorney for finance. There may come a time where your student finds themselves in a situation where they're not really sure what to do. And we want to make sure that they are making the right decisions with our support. You want to set this up in place if in the event you ever have to advocate on their behalf. You want to make sure you're filling out the HIPAA release form, which is another medical release. God forbid if something happens, if they get a concussion and the doctors need to talk to you, or you need to kind of know what's going on, this form will allow the doctors to be able to reach out to you to keep you in kind of what's happening. A FERPA, as I mentioned, the student does need to fill this out. The student needs to give you the ability to call in. Most schools may not release all information about the student, but they may release some academic information. You definitely want to take into consideration what the schools will release to you. And a good thing is making sure maybe your student needs a picture of all these forms on their phone as a resource, just in the case they are going, maybe they're going to the West Coast and it's not exactly a quick drive to get them to help them. Keeping it on their phone or maybe in a file where they can have it physically at school is also a great option. So now we're going to jump into some more tips and tricks that maybe you've forgotten because this is a little bit of an overwhelming process and you're kind of like, I don't know what to do. They got accepted, they're going. What should we do now? So a great thing for the students would be to kind of know, what is the weekend environment like? Is this a school where kids go home on the weekends? Or is this a school where they stay? Is it centered around athletics, theater, academic clubs, potential Greek life? You want to encourage your students to get involved. The more involved they are going to have that great sense of belonging and pride to their school. It also will help ease some homesickness. The more involved they are, they're going to be busy, so they're less likely to want to come home or feel that, this isn't the great fit. Um, Maybe finances are a little tough, trying to figure out how to navigate paying for school. There's always the option of looking into becoming a resident advisor. Often a resident advisor will have free tuition, sometimes room and board, potentially even a meal plan. I'm sorry, not free tuition, free room and board, which is a huge cost cut, right? Another thing also, maybe they're coming home at Thanksgiving and this is not the best fit for them. We want to make sure that they know that they can transfer. They can transfer back closer to home or maybe to a smaller school or a bigger school. We want to make sure that they at least give it to Thanksgiving before they make any hardcore decision to transfer. This would be a good time to kind of get your ducks in a row. What do you need to transfer? Kind of having that conversation. You also want to remember that you want to fill out your FAFSA and or CSS profile every year, as this will help with your finances. If your school takes just the FAFSA, you want to make sure you're filling that out. If it takes the FAFSA and CSS profile, you want to make sure you're filling that out. We can help you with that because those forms can be a bit daunting, and we'd love to be able to help you with that as well. Another great thing to know is, what kind of technology will you need and is compatible with the school? I know that most schools, often Chromebooks are not compatible due to their systems. So that's something you definitely want to know before you go out and do your shopping. Um, what kind of things will you need? Most schools, most dorms are pretty loud. So sometimes you'll want to have your noise canceling wireless headphones or earbuds. You also want to make sure you're bringing your charging cords for all of your devices as well. Maybe you're not bringing a computer. So you want to need to know, where is there a computer lab where you can go and do your homework and successfully submit that. Maybe you don't have Microsoft Office. I would definitely inquire with your academic advisor. Some schools will provide a free student copy. So you have that, so you're able to do your work. As we mentioned about the transferring piece, you want to start to ask the question, why do you want to transfer? Is it your program? Is it the location of your school? Is it a financial piece? You want to kind of get those hard questions out of the way. And right before you're transferring, you want to make sure that you are accepted into your new school, into your new program. Some schools you may be accepted strictly into the school, but not necessarily the program. So you want to make sure that this process is seamless. You want to know if it's a size of the school, how can you best set up your student for success? And on the student side, you want to know kind of what was working for you at this current school, what maybe wasn't a good fit for you. This is the best time for you to really advocate what you need from the school. If the school is too big, obviously you want to look at a school with a smaller student enrollment size. You want to make sure that you've wrapped up your financial piece at your current school, but also have started the process at your new school. You want to speak to financial aid at both schools. You are welcome to connect with us anytime. We are a free resource to help you find those resources and even direct you to specific things on campus. So we covered a lot of information, and I truly, truly appreciate everyone's time. I am gonna stop talking, so if you have questions, just jump right in and fire them away. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes, but again, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you got some great insight out of it. Any questions, you can feel free to email me directly. I'm happy to help, as is anyone on my team. All right, I'm going to stop recording.